Good afternoon, my name is Shannan Walker. I'm an HR journalist for International Paper. I'd like to talk to you today about telephone interviewing. The goal of any telephone interview is to proceed to the next step in the interviewing process. So it's very important that you consider the telephone interview equally as important as the on-site interview. Let's talk about distractions. If you have a screaming child at home, or you have noisy animals at home, or you're sitting in a coffee shop with a lot of background noise, they'll know about it. So you really need to minimize those distractions whenever you are having a telephone interview. Use a landline phone in order to avoid being cut off. If you're using a cell phone, you're more likely to lose reception or something's going to happen. So make sure that you're using a landline phone to avoid having your line being disconnected. More than likely, you're only going to have one chance. So if you get disconnected and cut off, it's not going to be good. Be relaxed and confident. While it is a phone interview, I know a lot of us don't have great communication skills, and that's something that we have to work on. Practice that for yourself. Be very confident. Be very relaxed. Make sure that the person on the other end of the line knows that you're confident and relaxed. That is very important. Some tips for calming your nerves ahead of time. I laughingly say yoga is a good tip. Do breathing exercises beforehand. Figure out something that relaxes you ahead of time. If that's taking a jog, take a jog. If that's watching your favorite TV show right before the interview, do that. If that's eating a big meal, do that. Just make sure that you're nice and relaxed and confident whenever you're calling or whenever you're on the phone interview. Wagner states that 8 out of 10 job seekers are eliminated in the first 5 minutes of a phone interview. I can tell you, for myself, being an HR journalist, that is very true. I know typically if I'm going to advance a person to the interview stage within the first 5 minutes of that phone interview. There's no question. So make sure that you are confident, relaxed, you know your stuff before you get on that call. Tips to ace your phone interview. Let's talk about this. This form is going to be made available to you, but I do want to point out a few tips for you now. Number one, have a physical copy of your resume. If you have that in front of you, more than likely you're going to be able to point out and tell them exactly how the job that you did before is going to be relevant to the job that you've applied for. So print that out, because more than likely you'll forget something if you don't have it in front of you. Use a landline. Again, cellular connections. It's not optimal. If you have a landline, please use it. If not, come to the college and I'm sure that they have something here for you. Give yourself plenty of time. You know, if you're trying to fit in a phone interview on your lunch break and it goes longer than it should, well, then they're going to know that you're rushing through it to get back. The interviewer on the other end is going to feel that. So make sure that you have plenty of time for that phone interview. No pets allowed. Again, make it a pet-free zone. If they're hearing that in the background, well, then that's going to be very distracting and that's going to be a ding against you. Smile. When you're speaking to someone on the other end of the line, they know if you're engaged or disengaged. So if you smile, you project that confidence, well, then they're going to know that as well. That's very important. Watch your body language. Make sure that you're sitting up straight. You don't want to slouch. If they slouch, they're going to hear it. All right? If you talk with your hands a lot like I do, keep doing that, because that will just help you be that much more confident. Convince me. You must convince the interviewer that you are worth bringing to the site. That is very important. Again, you only have 5 to 10 minutes on this phone call. You got to make that count and make them want to bring you on site. Say thanks quickly. I had an employee once who sent me a thank you note after his interview, and he got the job off of that thank you note. I can't tell you how important that is. I'm very old-fashioned, so I like handwritten thank you notes. An email, some people might like that, but I prefer the personal touch. That will typically get you to the next step if you'll do that. As you might expect, many of the tips given for face-to-face interviews also apply for phone interviews. As I said in the beginning, the phone interview is equally as important as the on-site interview. So as we're talking about typical interviews, posture, not using filler words like think or like, and basically and all of those things are equally as important if you're on a phone interview. So general interviewing tips: sound confident, be enthusiastic, listen, and don't interrupt. I can't tell you how many people have lost me in an interview because they are too eager. Being too eager, you're going to cut me off. You're going to make me feel as though you know what I'm asking when you really don't. Don't be overly eager. That's very important. Speak clearly, be concise, and have some questions prepared for your interviewer. If you have questions for me, I know that you're interested in the job, and I know that you've researched my company. So have those questions ready. As always, be yourself. I'm going to be able to sniff it out. I know when you're not being yourself. If I don't find that out in the interview, well then I'm going to find that out on the first day on the job. So make sure that you're yourself in that interview. Thank the interviewer. Avoid one-word answers, and always ask about the next step. So on the phone, where do we go from here? Who's going to be reaching out to me next? That's very important so that you know how to tie the loop. And then research the company. If you don't know anything about my company, International Paper, when you come in the door, I'm going to assume that you're really not that interested. So research the company prior to your interview. Okay, that's all I have for today. Thank you for your time and good luck.